Our next inductee, women's swimming. She swam here from 2008 to 2011. This isn't going to happen very more times. I hope it does, but she was a 28-time All-American. That's the maximum you could possibly earn All-America status in swimming. 7 a year, 4 years. 13-time PSAC champion. 9 Clarion records. She was PSAC Swimmer of the Meet in 2011 at the States. She won all 7 times she went in the water. She came out a champion. Then, of course, she also helped that team place 4th at the NCAAs, and she qualified for the 2016 U.S. Olympic trials, not just in 1 event, but in 3 events. That's almost unheard of. Kaitlyn Johnson. In our talk, actually in a magazine story that I did for Clarion magazine back in '16, I remember talking to you about your want to swim at an early age. Tell the folks your first time you swam and all that.
I was on the swim team when I was 4. I did different sports growing up, but my older brother swam, and so when my mom told me I had to pick a certain sport, I picked swimming because I just wanted to be like my older brother.
And swimming, athletics are sort of, you have an athletic family.
Yes, my dad did sports growing up, and my mom's side of the family, I have an uncle and a cousin who are in the Fayette County Sports Hall of Fame for basketball. So
now, your recruiting story is sort of interesting too. Who recruited you, and how did you make your choice?
Tilly recruited me, who is a Hall of Fame member as well. It was funny because growing up swimming for the YMCA, we had a district meet here at Clarion, and I don't remember if I got disqualified or choked or what happened, but I had a terrible race, and so my only memory of Clarion when Tilly started calling me was that terrible district meet that I had. So she convinced me to come on a recruiting trip, and I ended up falling in love with the team, and that was that.
In 2010, your junior year, you had a great team. Your team had really high hopes going to nationals, especially in the 200 medley relay. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? And I can't wait till Mark relives this one.
He actually brought it up earlier before this started, so that was funny. But 2009 was the year they came out with what they called a super suit. So it was basically like a wetsuit, which made you super buoyant in the water, which ultimately made you swim faster. So everybody's times were super fast that year. And I think it was the 400 medley relay. Going into nationals, we had a really good time from our mid-season meet, and we looked at it and we're like, well, shoot, we could be national champions here. Like, this could be it. So nationals that year was in Texas, and we were all excited. So we got, all of us girls got pink sequin cowgirl hats, and all of us had cowboy boots, and we went and got, one of the girls on the team got Coach a pair of cowboy boots that he was not very excited about, but said that he would. But
he wore them on deck, right?
He said that he would wear them. So we get to nationals, and nationals for swimming is in February. So it was freezing here, and we get to Texas, and it's sunny and nice, and all the other teams from the PSAC are going to the zoo and laying out by the pool. Tilly wouldn't let us do any of that. She said it would drain our energy, and we had to save it up for the meet so we could be national champions, this and that. So the morning comes, and we have a really good prelim swim. Tilly reminded me that we broke the national record. So everything was good to go, we thought. All we had to do was seal the deal in the evening. So Coach said that he would wear his cowboy boots for finals, and all we had to do was swim our race, and that should be it. Well, as Coach would say, we ended up shitting the bed. And we ended up coming in last in our heat. So we were not national champions, and another team ended up beating our prelims time. So we didn't end up with a national record either. But luckily, since we swam fast in the morning, we still didn't get anything worse than 8th in the country. So, but all I can remember is coming out of our race and just looking at Coach in his cowboy boots, rather disappointed.
Boy, I'd like to see you in pink cowboy boots. Let's fast forward a little bit to your senior year. One of the things we talked about in the Times obviously show, as you got older, you got faster. Mm-hmm. And of course, at your senior year at PSAC, you went in the water 7 times and came out a champion. Just talk a little bit about how you progressed as a swimmer and winning those 7 championships sort of made you feel?
I didn't come from a very demanding high school program like some swimmers do, so coming into college and just actually training for really the first time, I feel like my freshman year was kind of a given that I was going to improve. My sophomore year was, I think Tilly introduced us to CrossFit, so that made me a lot stronger. And like I said, we had the super suits, so that improved my times a lot that year as well. So my junior year, I think it was just kind of all a mindset, like I've gotten faster the past 2 years, this isn't going to be the year that I'm never going to be as fast as I was in my super suit time. So, and then my senior year, Bree came in and introduced her new training philosophy as well. So I think it helped that every year there was something new introduced for me to improve and be challenged by. So obviously my senior year, having done everything leading up to that, there was a little bit more pressure, but it was good. PSACs, I was really just trying to get through and focus on nationals, so there wasn't too much pressure there, so that was probably why that was a pretty successful meet.
Well, you end up, just so the folks know, you end up going to nationals. You're second at the 100 free, third in the 100 fly, fifth in the 50 free.
Yes.
And then the relays were all All-American as well. Yeah. That's capping off a pretty nice senior season.
Yeah, that was nice.
Moving on, you tried the Olympics in qualifiers in 2012.
I did.
And that didn't quite go.
Came up a little short.
But you had said, even in the story that I did and in our talk, that you felt you still had more. There was still more in you to lower your time. So you decide you're going to train for Olympic qualifying. Not everybody out there can do that. I mean, that's pretty darn hard to make an Olympic qualifying time, but you made it in 3 different events. Yeah. Just talk a little bit about your training and how you really wanted to be an Olympian.
I guess it wasn't so, I mean, obviously there was the physical aspect. It was a lot of mornings, waking up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and jumping into a cold pool wasn't necessarily fun, but the training was, like, I loved to train, so that was no problem at all. It was more the mental side of it, which I would say is probably what I had trouble with in college as well, and missing trials in 2012, that was a real letdown. So I think that was the harder side of it, was getting past that. And I mean, when you're in college, you're swimming for something more than yourself. You're swimming for the team and that side of it. But with Olympic trials, it was just me. Like, I was only doing that for myself. So I think the hardest was staying motivated and not letting anybody and their opinions get me down.
You had some help from people along the way, like at Spire
Yes.
up in Cleveland, and from Tilly and some other
Yes.
people. Just want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and Tilly hooked me up with my coach, who gave me a job and helped me train after I missed in 2012. And then Dave Sheets helped me get, he was inducted a couple years ago into the Hall of Fame, helped me get my sponsorship with Dolphin Swimwear, so that was really cool. So yeah, Clarion's a good place.
One last thing, just before maybe we do thank yous. You've had an amazing career. You mentioned you wanted to say a little something maybe about Coach Tilly and Coach
I did, but I told
VanDyke.
you I didn't want any tears to come, so I wrote a note to everybody so there weren't any tears.
Okay.
But Clarion, anybody who's gone here knows that it's a special place, and there's some really special people here, and I wouldn't trade this experience for anything.
That's great. Thank yous.
Yeah. Thank you.
Did you want to thank anybody else before?
My parents, of course, my family, everybody who's been there for me, supported me through all this.
Well, you have had an amazing career. This is Kaitlyn Johnson, our inductee. Thank you.
Thank you.